$9,412. That's the number on your credit card statement the week after your 31st birthday. Not your savings, not your net worth, your debt. You didn't buy anything crazy to get there. No vacations, no jewelry, no big dumb purchase you can point to and say, that's the villain. It was just life. $50 here for 4 years straight. A birthday dinner you put on the card because payday was 6 days away. An oil change. A flight home for a funeral. 1,000 invisible decisions that add up to one very visible number. You're standing in a Target parking lot when your phone buzzes with a statement alert. You don't even open it. You already know. You sit in your car for 4 minutes before you turn the key. If you're watching this in your 30s right now, thinking you missed the window, thinking the people who made it all had some head start, you didn't get stay with me for the next half hour. Because I'm going to walk you through, year by year, exactly what happens when you stop treating your 30s like a lost decade and start treating it like the most important 10 years you'll ever get. No fluff, no, just believe in yourself. Real numbers, real setbacks, real mistakes, and the exact system that turns a maxed out credit card at 31 into 6 figures of net worth by 41. And stick around for the middle of this video, because there's a number coming, the one number almost nobody tracks, that changes everything about how this story ends. If you've ever felt behind, this is the video you needed 2 years ago. Let's go back to the beginning. Part 1. The floor. Age 31. Salary. $61,000 a year. Working in logistics coordination for a mid-sized distribution company. On paper, that sounds like enough. On paper, a lot of things sound like enough. $61,000 becomes $4,280 a month after taxes. Rent on a 1-bedroom outside the city. $1,450. Car payment on a 5-year-old Toyota. $310. Insurance. $175. Minimum payments on that. $9,412 in credit card debt. $260. Groceries and gas. $520. And then there's the column you don't want to look at too closely. Takeout, impulse, Amazon orders. A streaming subscription for a show you finished 8 months ago. That column runs somewhere between $900 and $1,100 a month, depending on how bad the week was. Do that math, and you land in the red. Not dramatically red, just quietly, consistently red. The kind of red that doesn't feel like an emergency, because nothing catastrophic happens. You just watch the debt creep up $40, $60, $90 a month, forever. Like a slow leak you've stopped noticing because you've lived with the sound of it hissing for so long. Here's the thing nobody tells you about being broke in your 30s specifically. It doesn't look like being broke in your 20s. In your 20s, broke has an excuse built in. You're young, you're figuring it out. Everyone's broke. In your 30s, broke starts to feel like a verdict, like evidence. Like maybe this is just who you are with money. It isn't. And the fact that you're still watching this video means some part of you already knows that. So on a random Sunday night, no special occasion, no dramatic rock bottom, you open a blank spreadsheet. Not because you had a breakthrough, because you were tired of feeling like a passenger in your own financial life. You write down every number, all of it. The $9,412, the $61,000, the $1,100 you spend on things you can't even remember buying. And for the first time, instead of looking away, you sit with it. This is where it actually starts. Not with a windfall, not with a raise, with a Sunday night and a spreadsheet and the decision to stop flinching. Part 2, the first 90 days. Here's what almost nobody does. And it's the single highest leverage move in this entire story. Before you invest a single dollar, before you think about index funds or Roth IRAs or any of it, you build what I call the shock absorber. Not an emergency fund yet, that word is too big and it scares people into doing nothing. Just $1,000. A number small enough to feel possible, big enough to change how your nervous system responds to bad news. At 31, with $9,412 in debt, that $1,000 feels almost insulting to focus on. You want to attack the debt. Every finance guy on the internet will tell you to attack the debt. But here's the trap. If you throw every spare dollar at debt with zero cushion, the first flat tire, the first $180 vet bill, the first hey can everyone chip in for the office gift moment sends you right back to the card. You pay down $400 and then charge $500 back on. You're running on a treadmill and calling it a marathon. So for 90 days, here's exactly what you do. You go through every subscription on your bank statement, the gym you haven't been to since March, the meal kit box, the 3 streaming services you're paying for to watch one show each each. In this exact scenario, that's $67 a month back. You do one specific thing that feels small but isn't. You call your car insurance company and ask directly, "What discounts am I not currently getting?" Most people never ask this question out loud. In this case, it saves $34 a month. You pick one day a week, just one, where you cook everything from what's already in your kitchen. No grocery run, no takeout, use what you have. That's roughly $60 a month back, sometimes more. You sell 3 things you own but don't use, not 50 things. 3. An old gaming console, a jacket, a spare phone in a drawer. In this story, that's $210 one time. 90 days in, $1,000 sitting untouched in a separate savings account you don't even have a debit card linked to. You made it inconvenient to touch on purpose. And here's the part that actually matters more than the number you didn't feel it. Your day-to-day life barely changed. You still went out with friends. You still had a life, because the goal was never austerity. The goal was finding the money that was leaking out sideways without you noticing and pointing it somewhere on purpose. That $1,000 doesn't look like much next to $9,412 in debt, but psychologically, it's the whole game. Because now, when the next surprise bill hits, and it will, you're not reaching for plastic. You're reaching for a fund you built with your own hands in 90 days flat. Part 3. The debt collapse. Age 32. With the $1,000 shock absorber in place, now the debt gets your full attention. Here's the method. It's called the avalanche, and it's not glamorous, but it's mathematically the fastest route out. You list every debt by interest rate, not by balance. In this case, one card at 24.9% APR with a $9,412 balance, and a smaller store card at 27% APR with $640 on it. Everyone's instinct is to kill the small one first for the quick win, and there's a version of this called the snowball method that works great for motivation. But you're already motivated. You have the spreadsheet. You have the $1,000. So you go for the math. Highest interest rate first, every extra dollar. You free up $340 a month in that first debt push, combining the subscription cuts, the insurance savings, picking up 8 hours a month of freelance logistics, consulting on the side using skills from your actual job, invoicing 3 local small businesses that need help with their shipping workflows. Not a side hustle empire. Just 8 hours, once a month, for people who already trust you. $340 extra a month against a 24.9% card. It takes 11 months. 11 months of watching that number shrink from $9,412 to zero, and then rolling that same $340 now freed up completely onto the store card, which is gone in under 2 months after that. 13 months after that Sunday night spreadsheet, you are, for the first time since you were 24 years old, completely debt-free. No car loan even, because you paid that Toyota off 6 months earlier by rounding up every payment. You don't throw a party. You don't post about it. You sit at the same kitchen table, open the same spreadsheet, and for the first time in years, every single number on the screen is one you chose instead of one you were reacting to. Quick gut check before we keep going. If you've ever felt like debt was a personality trait instead of a math problem, drop a 13 months in the comments right now. I want to see how many of you are exactly where this story started. Okay, back to it. Part 4. The number nobody tracks. Age 33. Here's the number I promised you at the top of this video. It's not your net worth. It's not your savings rate. It's something called your freedom runway. The number of months you could survive at your current spending with zero income, using only liquid savings. At 33 debt-free, you calculate yours for the first time. It's 0.4 months, less than 2 weeks. That number should scare you more than any debt ever did, because debt is a known enemy. You can see it, attack it, watch it die. A thin freedom runway is invisible. It's the thing standing between a normal Tuesday and a full-blown crisis the moment something goes wrong. A layoff, a health scare, a family emergency. So the entire next phase of your 30s isn't about getting rich. It's about extending that runway. You set an automated transfer $500 a month, moved the day after payday, before you ever see it into a high-yield savings account. Not a regular savings account earning 0.4%. A high-yield one, earning something in the 4 to 5% range depending on the year, sitting completely separate from your checking, so it's never one tap away. At the same time, and this is the part people almost always get backwards, you don't wait until the emergency fund is done to start investing. You split the difference. $500 a month builds the runway. Another $300 a month goes straight into a Roth IRA, invested in a simple, low-cost, total market index fund. You're not picking stocks. You're not trying to beat the market. You're buying a small slice of the entire American economy, every single month, on autopilot, rain or shine. 6 months in, your freedom runway is up to 2.1 months. A year in, it's past 4. And something strange starts happening in your head during that year. You start making decisions differently without even trying to. You stop asking, can I afford this purchase this month? You start asking, does this purchase cost me a week of runway or a day? A $200 impulse buy suddenly has a face. It's 4 days of safety, traded for a jacket you'll wear 6 times. That's not deprivation. That's just seeing clearly for the first time. Part 5. The test. Age 34. This is the part of every finance story that gets skipped. And it's the most important part. What happens when the system gets tested by real life? March. Age 34. Your car the same. Toyota, now 9 years old, needs a new transmission. The shop calls with the number $2,850. 2 years earlier, this bill ends your whole plan. You put it on a card, tell yourself you'll pay it off in 3 months, and 18 months later, it's still there, wearing you down at 24.9%. This time, your freedom runway sits at just over 5 months. Your emergency fund has $6,100 in it. You pay the shop in full. You drive home the same day. And here's the actual emotional detail. Nobody talks about you don't feel triumphant. You feel almost nothing, which is exactly the point. A $2,850 disaster becomes a Tuesday afternoon. That flatness, that non-event, is what all the boring automated transfers were buying you the entire time. You rebuild the fund over the next 5 months without missing a single Roth contribution, because you built the system to run in parallel, not in sequence. 2 months after that, a smaller test. Your company announces a hiring freeze and a 5% company-wide budget cut. Nobody's laid off yet, but the room gets quiet the way rooms do before layoffs. You don't panic. You check the freedom runway now back up to 5.4 months, and you realize you're not making decisions from fear anymore. You're making them from information. You quietly update your resume anyway, because information doesn't mean immunity. But you sleep that night. That's new. Part 6. The compound years, ages 35, 37. By 35, here's the full system running. $700 a month, automated into retirement investing, split between the Roth IRA, and once you hit the contribution limit, a taxable brokerage account holding the same simple index fund. 6 months of expenses sitting in high-yield savings, completely untouched. No consumer debt. A car that's paid off and, thanks to actually reading the manual for once, still running fine at 10 years old. At age 35, your invested accounts cross $41,000. At 36, a modest raise 4%. Nothing dramatic gets entirely absorbed into the investment contribution instead of lifestyle upgrades. Because you've made a rule. Half of every raise goes to future you. Half goes to enjoying your actual life right now. Not all future you, not all current you. Half and half, on purpose, every time. This is also the year your friend group starts splitting in a way nobody talks about out loud. One friend leases a car that costs more per month than your entire grocery and gas budget combined. Another opens a buy now, pay later plan for a vacation. You don't say anything. You've learned that people change their relationship with money at their own kitchen table, on their own timeline, not because you brought up index funds at brunch. You just quietly keep doing your thing. By 37, the account crosses $89,000. And this is the year the growth starts doing something strange in 12 months. The market gains alone add more to your balance than your actual contributions did. The machine you built is now pulling its own weight. You didn't get luckier. You just gave compounding enough time and enough consistency to start showing up. Part 7. The thing money is actually for. Age 38. Age 38. Your dad calls on a Thursday night. His hot water heater died, and the quote to replace it is $2,400. He's embarrassed to even ask. You tell him it's handled before he finishes the sentence. You transfer the money the next morning. No calculation about what card to use. No math about which bill gets pushed back this month. No quiet resentment simmering under the surface for weeks afterward. Just handled. That's the actual finish line in this story. Not a specific dollar figure, not a retirement date. It's the ability to say, "I've got it" to someone you love and mean it without it costing you your own stability. 6 years earlier, that same phone call would have kept you up at night doing math you didn't want to do. Now it's just a Thursday. That's what all of this was actually for. Part 8. Age 41. The number, which brings us to now. Age 41. 10 years. Almost exactly. From that Target parking lot and the $9,412 statement you couldn't open for 4 minutes. Combined invested and saved assets. Just over $214,000. Zero consumer debt. A freedom runway of 8 full months. A Roth IRA that's been maxed for 4 straight years. A brokerage account quietly compounding in the background. And a version of yourself who, if you'd shown him that $9,412 statement a decade ago, would not have believed a single word of this ending. For context, the median net worth for someone in their early 40s in the US sits somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000 to $80,000, depending on the year and the source. You're sitting at roughly 3 times that, not because of some secret, not because of a lucky stock pick or an inheritance, but because of a Sunday night spreadsheet, 90 boring days, an avalanche method, an automated transfer, and one very specific number, the freedom runway that you tracked when almost nobody else does. If there's one thing to take from this entire video, it's that none of this required brilliance. It required a system that ran even on the days you didn't feel motivated. Motivation got you through one Sunday night. The automation got you through the other 3,000. If you're in your 30s right now and you're carrying some version of that $9,412 statement, whatever your number actually is, here's the only thing I want you to do after this video ends. Not build a perfect budget. Not read 6 finance books. Open one spreadsheet. Write down one real number you've been avoiding. That's the whole first step. Everything else in this video only works because that one step happened first. If this helped, hit subscribe. I'm breaking down one real financial turnaround like this every single week, with the actual numbers, not the highlight reel. And drop your current age and the one number you're avoiding right now in the comments. I read every single one. And next month's video is going to be built entirely from the stories you share. See you in the next one.